9:30. Well, what are going to be the big games of 2012? All the games that at least we're anticipating for gamers worldwide on the various platforms. Gerard Campbell is back from stuff.co.nz, the Game Junkie blog. Gerard, welcome back.
Welcome. I'm glad to be back, and I'll apologise if I cough mid-talk. I've been a bit sick the last couple of days. So there may be some coughing and spluttering going on, but I'm soldiering on. Oh, well,
hopefully you can shake that before the festive season.
Yes.
Now, what is going to be in the stockings for Christmas for gamers at the moment? Is there anything being released right now around Christmas, or are we looking forward to the new year?
Pretty much we're done for the year.
Okay.
You'll talk to all the major publishers and all their stuff's out, so they're sort of winding down for the year. But yeah, now we sort of look at what we're going to sort of anticipate for the next year. And there's some pretty good console and PC stuff coming out. Probably the biggest PC one for a lot of people is Star Wars: The Old Republic, which, although it's been released, I think, in the US already, we're not getting it till early next year. So that's going to be an interesting one, because there'll be a lot of people that I know that played the beta have said that they'd actually give up their World of Warcraft subscription to play this. So it's going to be very interesting on whether it can make a dent in World of Warcraft.
Well, World of Warcraft been around for years, and it's been the subject of parody on things like South Park. It's been it's this massive addiction. It's had its own world. There's been an economy created around it as well, and there are some really people who are absolutely dedicated to this game. So to have something that might knock that off its pedestal, that's big news.
Yeah, it's big news. So it seems to be here's a chance for people to sort of be a Jedi or a Sith, or do those sorts of bits and pieces. It's going to be very interesting when that one comes out next year to see sort of what sort of dent it makes. And probably another one on PC is perhaps, whether it will come out next year or not, I don't know, is Diablo 3 too. So that's another one that's highly anticipated by PC gamers, but whether that comes out next year, I don't know. But
okay.
But I guess in terms of consoles, you've got things like Halo 4, which is being done by 343 Industries, which have taken over the mantle from Bungie. So I'll be interested to see where they sort of take the series. The Darkness 2, which was the first Darkness was sort of it was a really good game, but I think it was overlooked by a lot of gamers. So the Darkness 2, I think, it's got a really nice sort of cartoony, sort of cel-shaded look to it. So I think that'll surprise a lot of people and will be interesting to look at. Also got Borderlands 2, which is due out, anticipated for this year as well.
Yeah.
Of course, we've got Mass Effect 3, which is due out early next year. And that's going to be really exciting because, of course, Mass Effect 2 was such a great game. And Mass Effect 3 is sort of going to carry that story on. And I had a bit of a play of that at an EA event earlier on in this year, and they've tweaked the gameplay a wee bit. So it's just going to be interesting to see where the scenarios and stories go based on. And of course, they say that depending on how you finished the final mission in Mass Effect 2, depending on how many of your crew members made it through to the end, then that will impact on how you start Mass Effect 3. So
wow!
So that's going to be because I think it uses the based on the saves that you've got on your 360 or your PS3 or whatever. So that's going to be interesting. Work how that works. We've also got BioShock Infinite next year, which is from Ken Levine, who did the first BioShock, which is the one that was set in the underwater world, underwater utopia, set up by Andrew Ryan, and then sort of went to chaos, and there was sort of mutations, and you had big daddies with the big drills on their arms, and those sorts of things. And he didn't have anything to do with BioShock 2. But he's now working on BioShock Infinite, which is set in sort of a cloud city too, so it's going to be an interesting take on that sort of world. And I think also next year, I think Final Fantasy 13-2 is sort of anticipated to be out next year as well. So, there's a lot of sort of mainstream titles coming out next year that gamers are sort of going to be really anticipating and looking forward to.
Yeah, okay. So those are the games, but what about hardware? And we've talked about on the show before about the fact that the consoles are getting old now. Will we see any announcements, do you think, in 2012 from Xbox or PlayStation?
Yeah, because of course we've already had the Wii U, which is the successor to the Wii, announced by Nintendo last year. I expect, I may be wrong, but I think Microsoft will probably announce a new console sort of at this E3 this year, I think, because, that is the dedicated sort of gaming trade show of the year. I think that they'll announce something then, and then, we might be looking at a 2013 new Xbox, and I'm sure PlayStation will sort of do the same thing as well. I think that because Nintendo has launched a successor to the Wii, and the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 are getting on in years. I think they're, what are they, 5 and 6 and 7 years old. That I think there's no doubt that they'll all be working on new consoles. It'll just be a case of when they actually decide to time their announcements. There's rumours that Xbox might announce something at CES in January, but I think that might be too early for them to do that.
Yeah.
And part of me thinks that they're probably going to want to make an announcement at a show like E3, which is going to have more gaming press there, where they're going to get maximum coverage. So I think we'll see something at E3 this year. Okay, and is there something else from PlayStation? I've heard that there is something else that they're coming out with. Is it a mobile device next year? Yes, the PS Vita, which is their new handheld, which is a successor to the PlayStation Portable. I believe that that's launching here. It's already launched in Japan. I believe that it's launching here in early January. Okay. Oh, that's something. Yeah, and that's it's got touch screen, and it's also got. I haven't actually seen one. I haven't held on in my hand, so I'm not haven't had any hands-on experience with it. But it also has 2 touch-sensitive pads on the rear of the handheld, so that like if you're playing a game and you need your character to climb a rope, you just run your fingers up and down the backs of those pads and he'll go up. And one of the first launch games for it will be one based on the Uncharted franchise, which apparently looks pretty damn good. Yeah. But of course the big thing is that with Nintendo's still got their dedicated 3DS handheld, and Sony coming out with the Vita, is of course smartphone and smartphone gaming is actually getting more and more powerful now. True. And because you can get, especially with the iPhone 4S now, with games like Infinity Blade, which came out by Cheer, that they're doing home console quality graphics on a smartphone. So it's going to be an interesting time, I think, for dedicated handheld gaming machines this year, on whether they can sort of make a dent in the smartphone gaming apps, because as you know, smartphones are getting more and more powerful. And talking about that, just released on Android and I think iOS as well, Grand Theft Auto 3 from Rockstar. So the original Grand Theft Auto 3 has been ported through, and it looks, I've had a quick look at it, it looks exactly the same, but it's got new controls obviously for touch and everything. But that is amazing. This massive PC title from years ago is now available on these little devices. Yeah, well, I downloaded that for my Android tablet last week, and the controls taking a bit to get used to, because of course trying to do driving cars and that sort of thing with touch controls is a lot harder than using dedicated steering wheel or joypads and stuff. But it is quite amazing that we're getting console quality games on a mobile device. Yeah. I think they've shrunk it down to 540 megabytes or something, I think. Which so I think that this year, the dedicated handheld manufacturers, Sony and Nintendo, are going to really have to keep a close eye on what smartphone manufacturers are doing, because they're really going to have to do something different, or else people are just going to say, well, I'll just buy an iPhone 4S, or I'll buy a Optimus 2X or whatever, a smartphone that's got, it's just as fast, capable-wise and graphics-wise, and I can use it as a phone, I can do all my bits and pieces, but I can play great games on it too. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the uptake will be of the Vita. And although that said, the Nintendo 3DS saw a huge jump in sales over the last couple of months because of games like Super Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7.
Well,
so
that's
it
right.
shows that.
I mean, it could come down to titles. It could come down to the actual games you can get. Yeah.
And that's what it will come down to. If the games aren't there, then the consoles aren't going to sell.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Gerard, you have a fantastic festive gaming period, but try and get some sunshine out there as well at the same time.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Plenty of sunshine.
And look forward to catching up with you in the new year.
Indeed. Have a good festive season yourself, Wemo.
Cheers. It's 20.